And welcome to Hannity, and Happy New Year and Happy Election Year 2024. Now, the exodus out of big states like New Jersey, California, Illinois, New York, it continues. In fact, tonight we are now broadcasting from my new home, the great free state of Florida. Like so many Americans, I left New York for good and am now in the state with, let's see, warmer weather, law and order, better education, more freedom, better quality of life, and guess what? No state income tax. Now, here is my prediction. This mass migration out of deep blue states, like the ones I just mentioned, that will continue unless and until they change their governing philosophies that are overtaxing people, overregulating people. They're underperforming in schools and safety and issues of public importance, and that's why it's happening. But no matter what state you call home, I will say this, 2024 is going to be a critical year, not only for our country, but for the world. As anyone who has lived in New York will tell you, yeah, elections have consequences, and in just 11 short months, and they will fly by, you, the American people, you will determine the future of our country and, frankly, the trajectory of the world. Now, no one can predict the outcome, but I can tell you what the next year will look like. And by the way, anyone that does predict the outcome, they don't know what they're talking about. It's too unpredictable. Probably the most unpredictable presidential election year in our lifetimes. Now, Democrats, the media mob, they will work in unison. That I can predict with certainty. They will be on a never-ending, nonstop smear campaign, regardless of the Republican candidate. They will obsessively focus on Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, January 6th, and, of course, abortion. They don't want to ever talk about Joe Biden's accomplishments. Why? Because there really aren't any. They won't defend Biden's radical agenda because it has resulted in one national disaster after another. And you, the American people, you can see it. They don't want to talk about Bidenomics because, two-thirds of our fellow countrymen are living paycheck to paycheck, and the American people are getting wrecked by Joe Biden's economy of inflation, high interest rates. They don't want to talk about Biden's performance on the world stage. Why? Because the president has been bullied over and over and over again by our top geopolitical foes as Joe has abdicated America's role on the world stage. The world is paying a consequence. We see China openly planning an invasion, or what they call reunification. It's an invasion of our ally Taiwan, while harassing our military in the Pacific, both in international airways and international waterways, spying on our nuclear sites right here in the continental United States with a slow-moving spy balloon that it turns out they knew all about, on top of all the intellectual property theft, all of their unfair trade practices. We now see war in Europe as Russia invaded Ukraine, and war continues there, and it seems like there's no end in sight. Biden has utterly failed to deter what is one of the bloodiest conflicts in recent history. And, of course, we have Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror. They are enriching uranium at the fastest pace ever, all while directing proxy wars and other proxies to attack Americans and our allies all over the region. Now we have war in the Middle East. On U.S. troops, there have been 118 specific attacks, including 5 in the new year. Even the Houthi rebels, a radical group formed from Yemen, by the way, funded by the Iranians, they're using fishing boats and rifles to wreak havoc on important shipping channels in the Red Sea, all while Joe Biden does little to nothing to respond. Meanwhile, our southern border, it is worse than ever. We have a lot more on that coming up tonight. And, of course, crime is completely, totally spiraling out of control in many major American cities and even some small towns. And to put that special cherry on top, yeah, tax collection is now at an all-time high, and with the extra $2+ trillion Biden added to the debt last year, well, we started this fiscal year in October with the national debt now more than $34 trillion. That is a record, and I don't know how we pay that back. So make no mistake, Joe Biden as your president has been and continues to be an abject failure, both at home and abroad. Don't expect to see much of Joe, by the way, in the lead up to November. In fact, he will campaign probably less than any other candidate in modern history. If Donald Trump or any Republican is the candidate, I even doubt he'll show up for one debate. He will lurk in the shadows. He will hide in the basement. He will hide on the beach in Delaware while the media mob does all the heavy lifting for him. Now, it's not even clear that Joe can do the lifting at all at this point. Even the most basic conversations are now really difficult for your commander-in-chief. And here's just the latest and greatest. Take a look.
Mr. President, before we start here about the new year, I'm curious, what sort of holiday foods have you been enjoying over the last few days?
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've eaten pasta, which I love. Eating a lot of chicken Parmesan. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
And ice cream, chocolate chip ice cream.
Mr. President, what's your New Year's resolution, sir?
Next year.
Anything else?
That's the biggest one right now.
Now, Joe Biden's cognitive ability is not good. Anyone with eyes to see, you can see it. Every week it gets worse, and it's getting worse by the day. Now, keep in mind, Biden is also dealing with very real and serious corruption and bribery allegations, along with a very real impeachment inquiry. And his image as a loving father and grandfather, well, that has forever been shattered and tarnished by, frankly, his disgusting treatment of his own 4-year-old granddaughter in Arkansas. In other words, there are almost endless reasons to dislike Joe Biden, both politically and personally. And now, according to Gallup, Biden's year-end approval rating is now lower than any other first-term president in modern history going into a, quote, re-election year. He's even losing support among very key demographics, a big part of what is the Democratic coalition, that which, quote, propelled him to victory in 2020. Look at this new USA Today Suffolk University poll. Only 63% of African-American voters support Joe Biden. Why is that significant? Well, that's down from 87% that he was receiving in 2020, and it only gets worse from there. Biden now trails Trump among Hispanic voters by 5 points after easily winning a majority in 2020. And get this, Biden is down 4 points with another key constituency among the Democratic base, and that is voters under 35, a usually very reliable Democratic voting bloc. If these numbers hold, Joe Biden, if he's their candidate for re-election, he will lose today in a landslide. But a lot can happen between now and November. Let's be very clear. So let me start this year with a warning to conservatives and to Republicans. If you want any chance of winning in November, you need to do a couple of fundamental basic things. One, any conservative, any Republican, any voter that has any reluctance or any resistance to voting by mail and voting early, you have to get over that. You just can't start out these races on election night down by hundreds of thousands of votes and depend on people voting day of to make it up. Also, many states that allow legal ballot harvesting, keyword legal, and Republicans, they need to start matching the very, very well-organized Democratic Party efforts. That would be critical. GOP organizers in every state need to do it, especially the swing states. They've got to adopt what is a robust operation that is basically puts them on a level playing field and working within the system, not the one you want. It's not the system I want. I want day of voting, election day to be a national holiday, and I want paper ballots. That's not going to happen. And I want voter ID, and I want partisan observers watching the voting all day and the vote counting all night. In a perfect world, that would be what happens, but it's not the reality. That is not our current reality. Republicans, you have to deal with the system, the hand you're dealt, not the one you wish you had. My last piece of advice is on the controversial issue of abortion. Not my moral point of view, but I'm looking at it politically. Now, first leave abortion to the states. That's what Roe v. Wade did, and that, I believe, is more constitutional. If Republicans, if you want to push restrictive bans on abortion, like, for example, Doug Mastriano running for governor in Pennsylvania, no restrictions, rape, incest, mother's life, he lost by a margin of like 16 points. That had not been seen in Pennsylvania history since the 1940s against a non-incumbent opponent. You'll pay a heavy political price. And by the way, you'll have no ability to even stop late-term abortions that many Democrats support. You can get the high ground on the issue. Look at Ohio. That is a state that Donald Trump won twice by a very comfortable margin. Voters overwhelmingly approved a measure to make abortion a constitutional right in that red state. That ought to tell you a lot about the issue of abortion. GOP candidates, you need to be smart about this because in 11 months, you have a prime opportunity to regain power in D.C. and get our country back on track before it's too late. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.